What's up, guys? It is Sam here, and I wanted to go over my measurements before my cut so it can get one more indicator of what is going on here. So, if you're new to the channel, what's up? If you've been here for a while, thank you so much, but I wanted to talk a little bit about the context of what the fuck's going on. For the month of June, I am going to be doing a 30-day cut. My goal or objective is to hit a drop of at least 10 pounds of fat during that time period. So I wanted to talk about the measurements I did. I've talked about the compounds, right, and how those are changing for week 1. If you want to check that out, go back on the channel and just check out the one that's talking about drugs. I talked about the diet some, so that's another thing that I made a video on. If you want to go check that out, I did a pre-physique look, right, from an appearance standpoint. That's also one of the last couple videos, so if you want to check that out. And I will be having one coming up in the future, later today, about the workout and activity level changes. So make sure you press that subscribe button. Make sure you press that bell notification so that you can follow along on this journey with me as I get rid of some of this extra fat. Okay, so let's get into it. I took a bunch of different measurements, so I'm going to talk about what I measured and how I measured it and why the reasons I do some of that. And I'm going to start with actually talking about a little bit. This is how I think about life, or this is how I learn, right? I try to think about where I might want to be, right? So if this analogy is time here in space, right? Time today, T0, versus T1, or in the future, right? So my prediction for boom is, I mean, you put it down, right? And then you reach T equals 1, right? So you go from here through time to here. But you know what you were thinking here because you documented it. So it allows you to calibrate your future predictions more easily. It allows you to make more, like, it increases the rate at which you can learn, in my opinion, by factoring in some of these things, right? Because, so you have like ex ante and then ex post, right? Ex ante is before something happens, and then you have ex post, which is after whatever happens, right? So if you have this state of mind and you document that, and then your prediction is this, then when you get to this point, you can look back and see, based on your predictions of where you thought you would be, how that translated. And then you know what you need to change, right? If you got 50% of the results, then maybe you just weren't trying hard enough, right? If you got 150% of the results, then you're like, I was going gung-ho, maybe I should go for 300 increase or whatever, you know what I mean? Like, it just allows you to calibrate what is working and what is not working for the future. So in this case, the ex ante factors would be the diet change, which, go back and check that one out, the activity level, and the compounds, right? Because those are all before the fact, right? They're going to be changing, and at the end of the month, we'll see what those are. So I've talked about some of those. Now, what would be some of the things that you would think about as an ex post, right? So I wrote some things down. Changes in the scale, right? So I wanted to get to 10 pounds. So we'll see where I move along that measurement to see if I'm being accurate in my predictions based on the diet I'll need, the activity level I'll need, and the compounds I'm taking, if I will get to 10 pounds, right? Think about it in that linear fashion. The appearance. So this is much harder to quantify what that would mean to somebody, but if I go back in, which I'm probably not going to go this lean, but if I go back to when I was in Hawaii, I was the leanest I'd ever been, and I was barely taking anything. I felt like I was small, but then I'd see pictures of myself next to like regular people, I guess you could say. And I don't mean that in a derogatory way, but you see pictures next to like normal people, and I would be like, oh wow, I'm a lot bigger than them. So probably something between like that super low point where I was extremely low in body fat. If you want to check out some of the pictures, go over to Instagram. You can check them out. Link in the description. Somewhere between that point would be like the lowest. So probably a couple percentage points above that is what I'm gonna. I don't think it's honestly gonna be that drastic in this period. I think it's gonna be like 3 or 4 percentage points higher than that. I would say I'm probably like 13%. If you go back and look at that video, you can take a guess, maybe 15%. So if I drop down to below 10, I guess you could say, in that terms of shreddedness looking, you know what I mean? Just my obliques, my abs are probably coming out more. I have more striations, like in the feathering in my quads, and that kind of thing. The next one is a lot more subjective too. It's your mood and your feeling and like the overall state of well-being. For me, you have like two competing things, like on a seesaw, right? You have two different endpoints. One is being shredded as fuck. That's good for my mood, right? And the way I feel and my sense of well-being is like fucking shredded as fuck. Look at this. You know what I mean? Like that's on a good side. And then you also have on the other side like, wow, I'm fucking big as fuck, right? And you're like approaching 240 or 250 or 260, right? So like there's the balance of those two things, because on the one hand, I want to be lean as fuck, and on the other hand, I want to, add on a decent amount of size. So it's always that balance, and for the longest time, and I still continue this, I prefer to lean more on the being lean side than being on the big side. And what ends up happening over the years is that as a result, I've been able to stay pretty lean while perpetually putting on weight over, and not just weight, but lean body mass, muscle, over the last 2 decades. And the vast majority of the time I was not using any type of compounds. And the last thing, which is what this video is about, is the measurements. So sorry it took me so long to get to that point, but make sure you press that thumbs up button for how long that intro was to get to the main point of the video. That was impressive. Or complete tangent, because I'm smoking. Anyways, so I started this cut on June 1st. It's going to be going to June 30th. So I wanted to take the last one here is the measurements. That would be an ex post, right? Like the measurements today versus the measurements then. And I don't really have any prediction for these other than they're probably going to go down. Okay, so how the things that I measured, the actual amounts don't really fucking matter at this point, unless you want to know how big my calf is. It's almost 17 fucking inches. Whoa, bro. I would like to see some data on like calf ratio to arm ratio. Like arms, this would be an interesting thing to see for me. This is how I think about it, right? So for my arms, they're around 15 inches. My calves are around 17 inches. So if there was a ratio of people on average, their arm size divided by their leg size, I could see what that is. And if on average that number is 1, right? On average, like if their calf or their arm is 14 inches and their calf is 14 inches, then I could see where I was relative to the more traditional population. I don't know if you guys measure your arms and your calves. Put them down below in the comments, because I'm super curious to get just some type of data on this. It would be interesting. Anyways, yeah. So I feel like my calves are bigger than normal, but I have no idea. Let me know down below in the comments. 15 inches versus 17 inches approximately. My arms are 15 and my calves are about 17, so just under 17. Anyways, so I measured both of those things clearly, and I did left and I did right leg. I did my shoulders. I did chest. By the way, using this for doing your shoulders, this is just you can buy this on Amazon. It's like $4 or $5 or $3. I have no honest idea, but just Google this name here. This is what you use, or what I use for measuring body parts, right? And then this thing slides out, and that's fucking annoying, so I taped it in place. But you just use this, and you'll do the measurement, then you press this button down, and it squeezes it, right? So you can get measurements like that. And for all of the things that I did measure, I took 3 separate measurements. So I did shoulders, chest, waist, right, at my belly button, as well as a vacuum of my waist. So I vacuumed, right? A vacuum exercise is you kind of like use your transverse abdominals to suck in your belly button towards your spine. So I did that, and it was almost 37 inches with no flexing or anything like that versus 32 and a half on average. Because I took the measurements each 3 times, and then I took the average of that as my measurement, just to, if I had like one that was way off, I wanted to make sure that I didn't catch that anomaly, or I was able to at least, factor that in a little bit by taking multiple measurements and being more accurate. I did left arm and right arm closer up to here, measuring it and just hanging by my side. A quad, I also did very high on my quads. And those are, let me know what your guys' size are for the quads to arms. That would be an interesting ratio as well. My quads are about the 26 and a quarter-ish, 26 and a third inches in circumference at the very top portion of my quads, and then calves. And then I decided something might be interesting to take a look at is I added up all of the left body part circumferences, and I added them up, and then I did the same thing with the right side. So I would be able to kind of get an indication if one side of my body was overdeveloped relative to the other side of the body without going to get a DEXA scan, right? Because I don't want to pay fucking money for a DEXA scan. If somebody wants to do a DEXA scan and be in a video, I'd be happy to come over there and oblige them, but I just personally don't want to pay for it. Anyways, so when I did the body parts and I added up all the measurements, they were actually only off by 3/100th of an inch. So I just took up the left-hand circumferences and all the right-hand circumferences. And on the left-hand side of my body, so my left by arm, my left quad, and my left calf adds up to 57.8 inches. Now on my right arm, right quad, right calf, came out to be 57.77 inches. So they're pretty symmetrical, and that easily because of the inaccuracy of my me measuring myself, or not as accurate as it could be, I guess. I think that is within the margin of error for sure in terms of the size difference between my left side and my right side of the body, which is something I am conscious of. And even when I carry in the groceries, if I have to carry them for several minutes, I will not carry that on my left hand. After, if I go for 7 minutes, after about 3.5 minutes, I'll take the groceries out of my left hand and I will carry them in my right hand, because I'm so conscious about not overdeveloping one side of my body relative to the other side of the body. Although one pec is substantially larger than the other. But anyways, so that is what I wanted to talk about in this video. Please press that thumbs up button if you are still here at this point with me all over the place in this video. If you enjoy the video, share it with somebody. Press that thumbs up button. It helps the channel out. I just finished up the month of May, had the best month ever in terms of views, so thank you guys. If you want to see this progress, right, and document all of these steps based on the diet and the activity and the compounds and whatever fucking else crazy shit comes into my mind, press that subscribe button and that bell notification, because then YouTube will tell you when I post a video. So I hope you guys have an awesome fucking day. If you have any specific questions, jump over to Instagram. The link is in the description. Say what's up, and I will talk to you soon. Peace.